All right, folks. So in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a new to me VNA, a network vector analyzer, or a vector network analyzer, I should say. This one is the SV4401A, and it's designed by a company called SysJoint, and they've done a lot of the firmware upgrades and some work with previous iterations of Nano VNAs. I want to show this is the original Nano VNA H. It's the first one that came out. And there has been significant evolution in this space. This is a continuation of the Nano VNA 2. Here you can see it's booting up, and it is by SysJoint. Now we're going to get zoomed in on this. We're going to get a better look at it. But I just wanted to quickly go over some of the external pieces of this VNA. I did want to say that I was sent this VNA free of charge in exchange for this video review from Aursinc. And Aursinc has been a really good sponsor of the Smokin' Ape channel, so I want to thank them. And I'll include links below where you can pick this up should you choose to. Choose PCB Way if you're interested in PCB prototyping the easy way. PCB Way offers full-feature custom PCB prototype services. When you buy from PCB Way, you get short lead times, support from a team of professional technical people, on-time shipping, great quality assurance, customer satisfaction, and non-stop assistant services. If you need help, look no further than PCB Way's knowledge base. You can do keyword searches for any problems that you're having, or you can review top questions asked by other people just like you. Give it a try. So at the top, you can see you have your port 1 and your port 2, and for this one, these are N-type connectors. But the VNA does come with these N-type to SMA adapters. And then you could get N-type to whatever adapters that you're interested in using for your VNA. On the side here, you have this USB port, and this actually acts like a USB battery bank where you can actually use the batteries in here to charge other devices. Not sure why you would do that. You have a power on light, you have a charging light, on-off switch, and then you have a USB-C charging port to charge the internal batteries, as well as connect this to a PC to run software such as Nano VNA Saver, which is a program that we really like. It has a beautiful touchscreen display, and we're going to, like I said, get some better looks at this, but it's really impressive. Function button, control button, and left to right scrolling capabilities. Nothing on this side, nothing on the bottom. And then on the back, we have a bail that you can actuate to operate this in a tilted capacity. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in on this. We're going to do a calibration of this. I'm going to show you a little bit about the menuing system, and then we are going to test a filter. Okay, so we're zoomed up on this a little bit, and we're going to have to do a couple of different shots to get this video complete. The first thing I'm going to do, and probably make some of you happy, is I'm going to remove me. So now you can see the entire screen of the device. And a couple of things I wanted to point out. Whatever calibration you're on when you turn this device off will be the same calibration that you boot into. So we're just going to kind of talk about this and walk through the menu a little bit, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. You can see here that this calibration down here, it's a little blurry, starts at 50 kilohertz and then ends up over here at 4.4 gigahertz. It's quite a big number. And this is the default calibration that comes out of the box. And then you have your different trace and stimulus information over here. You can see that it's calibrated up at the top with open, short, load, and through. And then it's showing you that this is cal normal 0.cal. So this is the one that is stored in the 0 slot. So if I wanted to take a look at a calibration, I hit that save recall, and then I can hit recall. And you have to do this with your hands. A stylus doesn't work. And you can see the current calibration is right here. Here you can see all my other memory slots are open. I can hit more, and then I actually have more. I can go back, and then I can actually recall a file, and then I can see a calibration that I did previous, and now that one has been loaded. And this calibration is one that I stored on the internal memory card. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention is that you can hook this to your computer, and your computer will give you an option if you wanted to connect this as a device or a drive. If you connect it as a drive, you'll be able to access the internal memory card. You can also do things like capture a screenshot and save that to the internal memory card, which is pretty handy. Now, you can see that by loading the other calibration, my open short load and through is still showing as calibrated, but it has loaded a different calibration file. And this is the calibration that I would use if I was going to test my antenna out back, for example. Now, one of the things that's really neat is that you can see the yellow trace is our SWR trace. I can go ahead and I can hit this button and turn that trace on or off. Now, a long press will allow me to toggle if I want this to be a port 1 or a port 2, if I wanted to change the format, the scale, the reference position, or cancel. So let's go ahead and click Format, and then I can change this to a logmatic return loss if I wanted to. So it's that simple to change these things. Also, it's extremely simple to save and store calibration. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I like to use my my SWR meter because it doesn't require calibrations. The reason that we use calibrations with things like Nano VNA is they allow us to adjust the conditions of the test to the results that we want to get. So for example, if I'm using a connector, I can either include or not include that connector in my calibration. So let's go ahead and calibrate this bad boy. So I wanted to mention real quick before we calibrate that this device did come with a USB-C cable for charging and connected to the computer. But also we're going to need to use the calibration standards that came with the device, as well as the coaxial cables that came with the device. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go into calibrate, and then we are going to reset, which is going to remove any calibration from the device's current memory. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to adjust my stimulus. I want to set my start frequency at 50 megahertz for this particular test. Oops, and then I want to do my stop frequency at, let's say, 200 megahertz. And go back. And then I can also toggle on anything that I want here. Here I have an S11 SWR, and we have a Smith chart. Let's go ahead and turn the Smith chart off, and let me go ahead and turn this one on. And what we want to do here is an S21. So let me go in and see what we have. And this is an S11 log mag. So let me go in here. Oops, turn this on. Toggle channel. Now it says S21 log mag. And that's what we're going to need to complete this particular test. So now I can go over here and I can set my sweep points for anything between 101 to 1001. And let's just randomly pick 500. So what I want to do now is I want to go back and I want to go into calibration, and then I want to go to calibrate. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that my open standard, which is right here, is connected. And it is. So now I'm going to click open, and it is performing the calibration. Now this screen here was washed out and you couldn't see that. So I'll take a snapshot and roll that in. So the open is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to remove our calibration standard. And the next one I'm going to put in here is going to be the short standard. And then I'm just going to go ahead and calibrate. So I'm going to use the 50 ohm load. And as you can see, this isn't too painful of a process. Now next we want to do our through calibration. And the way that we're going to do this, because of the test that we're going to do, we're going to test this against a filter. And the filter is going to require us to have two cables hooked up. So here's a second cable. And what this is doing is making sure that our calibration is taking these cables into consideration. So when we do our test, it's actually of the device. And then I'm going to use one of these through barrel connectors. When you put these on, you want to turn these at the hexagon or the nut end and not spin the barrels, because the barrels will spin along your center conductor inside and can limit the life of your cable. These cables are pretty cheap, so if you do limit the life, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so now we have our through calibration set up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit this button. Okay, now we're done. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the done. And now it's calculating our calibration data, and it's asking us to save this. Here I can see that number 1 is blank. There's nothing in slot 1. So I'm just going to go ahead and save it right there. And there we go. That calibration is loaded into our device memory. Now what we want to do is we want to measure a filter. So let me go ahead and get that ready. So here's our filter. It's from rtlsdr.com, and it is a FM broadcast rejection filter from around 88 to 108 megahertz. And you use these for radio applications. Let's say you want to listen to frequencies outside of the FM broadcast band, but the FM broadcast band is causing overload or intermodulation on your radio. You can use something like this, and it will help you out. Okay, so the device is detected. And here you can see we have 2 traces. One trace is our SWR, and let's just say I'm not too interested in SWR. What we can see here is our S21 logmatic. And so what's happening is the VNA is pushing a signal out port 1 through the wire mesh, through our filter, and into port 2. And it's measuring the response inside of port 2. Now, what you see is that when this comes down, this means these frequencies are rejected, and it has a very low. Right here, you can see we're at like negative 50 to 60 dB. Up here, we're at 0. So that means that any frequencies coming through this filter in here, and we'll take a look at how you measure that, those frequencies are rejected, and you wouldn't be able to see them. So this is one of the reasons why something like a nano VNA is so helpful. You can see things like this. Now here is sweep is just running continuously. See this pause button? I can hit pause and it'll stop. Now I'll start it back up, and it's just sweeping. And down here it says averaging 1. So it's just sweeping, showing us, sweeping, showing us. Let me go into averaging. You got to use your finger. And let's say we want to average 5 sweeps before it updates the display. That's a good idea to do averaging, because it gives you a more precise, well, not a more precise, but a more accurate representation as to what exactly is happening. And so now as this runs, we'll get the average results. So what I can do, I can also change this. Let's say now we're going to be out of our calibration because it was calibrated for 500. Now we're going to do 1,000. So some people are going to get upset about that. Let's go into our markers table. And right now we only have 1 marker. How do I add another marker? There you go. Turn on marker 2. That's the first time that I've done that. Let's go back. And what I can do is I believe I can move this marker. And these are called shoulders of the signal that you're seeing here. Like this is a shoulder and that's a shoulder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this marker 2 till we get to right around negative 3 dB, and that's considered your roll off. So that is when you consider this filter to take effect at its roll off frequency. Now it's designed at 108 megahertz. You can see we're close to negative 3 dB at 124 megahertz. Let's go down to 108. So I'm gonna have to go pretty far down to get to 108. And we're seeing significant attenuation as we're approaching 108. So this filter is probably a little bit wider than advertised, but that's okay. I mean, I just use it for SDRing. Let's go back to select marker number 1, and now I can go ahead and I can move marker number 1, and then I can get comparisons and relationships to these 2 markers or along the trace of that signal. So another feature that I wanted to highlight, so let's say we're done doing our measurements here, and we want to take a look at some past measurements that maybe we captured. I can go over here to File, and I can go, well, here's my directory structure. I can go ahead and I can go through this directory structure. I can go into Image, and here are some different images that we have used in the past. So let me just go ahead and click on that and hit Open. And this is a sweep I did of a 9-to-1 antenna in the past. Just showing you how you can do things like this. It's actually really helpful and helps you do comparisons and things like that. So I just want to take a quick look at the SysJoint website, and I can include a link to this below, but here is some of the information on it. You can see your dynamic range. Here's some introduction, and I'll let you read this at your convenience. But here you can see some of the basic performance, your RF power characteristics. You can adjust this between -42 and -12 dBm. Shows that you have end connectors with a quick SMA adapters. RF power input. Here's your frequency accuracy, dynamic range, scan points 1001, scanning speed 400 points a second. Here's your IF frequency information and just a bunch of different stuff that you can get here. And then here's the appearance of the product. And yours will come in a kit like this, a nice handy little carrying case. You get the Vector Network Analyzer, and we took a look at the cables and the standards that come with the device. Here is the PC software I would recommend using. This is what we already use here at the Smokin' Ape channel. NanoVNA Saver by SysJoint. And then here's some driver information should you need that. Also, here is a firmware upgrade. And as you can see, this is a pretty feature-rich device. It's really handy. I love it. It is going to be my new Vector Network Analyzer. I doubt that I'll use any of the other ones. Perhaps in the event that I have to go portable and I need something really lightweight, I'll probably take something different. But you're going to see this in a lot more videos. It's going to be featured a lot more on the channel. So stay tuned and see some more updates on this device. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it.